I want you to picture for a moment exactly what your life would look like if you were a millionaire. The truth is, you would have a lot of the same concerns, consistently working hard to grow as a person and develop fruitful, loving relationships all around you. Your greatest concern in life would still be your health and the health of those around you. There would be one main difference though, and it's an important one. You would no longer have to worry about money. You would have the freedom to do what you wanted, when you wanted. You would have control. Financial freedom is the freedom to be able to make choices. The choices about what you do with your most precious resource, your time, who you spend it with, and where and what you do with it. I want you to open yourself up as we begin to talk about what it takes to become rich trading Forex. Forex traders are often very concerned with how much money they can make and how quickly they can make it. And each day and each trading session is approached as almost the improbable or impossible. The reason I want to share this formula with you is because it's very important to have the correct mindset, the mindset of an investor. And it's important to focus on this formula for the bigger picture. And this is going to help you to be able to execute, which is what you need to do in order to achieve your goals. You need to be able to execute. So let's take a look. Starting with a $3,000 balance. All right. And we're looking at having a 2.5% return monthly for the next 10 years. Now, this is something that anyone who's working with me, I believe they absolutely should be able to achieve. And my goal is to be able to get them to do that within 3 to 6 months. Now this is over a 10-year period, and you're looking at turning $3,000 in just 10 years to $58,000. Pretty good, but that's nowhere close to being rich. Now, what happens if you were to add a $100 deposit monthly? Okay, there's a little bit of a difference, right? Now, what happens if you were to do two things? What happens if you were to add $250 a month for the next year, for the next 10 years? All right, now you're looking at $246,000. This is a little bit better as far as a savings account, but this is not going to, be meeting your goals as far as achieving any type of wealth. But let's just look 5 years out, 5 years later. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, take a look at this. You're making every year at this point $286,000. All right. That's 15 years from now. That's starting with a small account, starting with $3,000 and having a return that is phenomenal, but you could do it. Now, the reason why it's important to focus on the bigger picture here is because often a trader with a relatively small account is trying to trade way too aggressively. Instead of controlling their risk, they're aiming for type of returns daily, weekly, and monthly that are just not possible. And if that same trader, if you're able to have a plan in place and able to view the larger picture of what you're working for, then all of a sudden, each trading session and each trade and each day, there's a lot less pressure on you because you're looking more on a weekly, monthly, and yearly scale, not each individual trade and each day. So the correct mindset to have is that of an investor and of a saver. Do whatever you have to do to make those regular deposits. Whether it's $100 a month or $200 or $250 or $500 a month, whatever you can do, whatever you need to do in order to make those regular deposits, the first several years, they're going to make a big difference in your overall performance. And that's why it's important to focus on this formula. If you need to, then every day before you sit down and start trading, review this formula in order to review your goals and ingrain it in yourself, what you're trying to achieve, what you're working towards. That trader is going to have a much greater chance of meeting their goals and achieving this great success. It'll help give you the proper perspective of what it is you're looking to achieve for a longer term. And it's going to help give you the discipline you need not to make silly mistakes, to stick to the plan, to stick to the rules, because execution is everything. Let's start this off. And first, I think we had some conversation yesterday in the CTM chat group that was really important. And we were talking about what our goals are. And I think it's really important of having those goals in sight as you start out. So we'll briefly discuss goals of the program and the goals that you should be having for yourselves, right? It's really important to have that goal in mind when you're working towards something. And the first goal is turning the corner to profitability. There's no question about that. And from my experience, I'm seeing anywhere between 3 and 6 weeks, people are able to start at least following the trading strategy in the course and go to where they are slightly profitable to break even traders, which in itself is a really good feat. And that's the timeline that you should be able to achieve that in, though. It should be somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks, right? The next phase is then going on to about, let's call it within 12 weeks. All right, which is a considerable amount of time. But as far as becoming a trader and profiting from the markets, that's a drop in the bucket. That's absolutely nothing, though. So, during the next 12 weeks, after you finally become a profitable break-even trader, is you want to be consistently profitable. And we're going to label that as 1% a month. All right, 1% a month. So if you're starting off trading and your goal already is to be making 10% a month, your goals are not aligned for success. Yeah, so Brad over here built this. Brad, who joined the course, then built this because he wanted to give back. Now we're talking about goals, constantly profitable, 1% a month after first turning the corner to profitability. That should be your really goal over a 12-week period to get there. That's a good place to be. There's a video, one of the modules is Could Forex Make You Rich? It's a really important video to watch. I want everyone to watch it if you haven't already, because it talks about if you're making 2 or 3% a month, that's really quite extraordinary to be able to do in the markets, a 20-30% yearly return. And that is setting yourself up to make a significant amount of money through the use of time and compounding. You have to have your goal set from the beginning correctly and aligned correctly to what's achievable. So did anyone here have a goal of 10 or 12% a month? Absolutely not. There's no way that should even be something you're working towards. And this course, this strategy is not going to be able to do that for you. It really won't, right? The goal of this is to take someone who's not profitable in the markets and then in a reasonable amount of time, get them towards a position where they're able to make money out of the markets. And that's really the goal of this. And that's what you should be working towards and following and doing. And to be honest, if you're still out there exploring, trying new things and not following the methodology laid out in the course, well, then you have a long road ahead of you. That's not really the way to go. All right. So does everyone here, before we move forward, kind of understand of what their goals should be? And do they feel comfortable about working towards those goals? Maybe someone thinks that's not enough money. Well, that's debatable. But then this is not, the markets are probably not for you. Right? Now, if you could achieve this, right, from there, you have all sorts of different ways to increase your working capital, whether that's other income that you are constantly adding to your account monthly, whether that's getting funded, right, and then being able to trade a larger sum of money, right? All those things are, it's easy to scale up. The difficult thing is getting yourself to this level. Once you're at that level, this is the wealth building level, if you could get here. And you'll be well on your way. We always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10. You have to think big. Fortune favors the bold. We often let being realistic prevent us from achieving our goals. Stay the course. Ideas are not what make people rich. It's execution, follow through. Stop trying things until you find something successful. Instead, use laser targeted focus, commit, and stick to something until you are successful.